Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at Proclamation News and Gatherings. We've got I'm on Castbox, YouTube, I'm on live TV channel. I've got about 200. Most of my listeners are coming through now. Thank you ever so much, everyone who are actually coming through supporting the show. First of all, I want to start off. It's okay not to be okay. Everyone suffers in silence. Sometimes you need to reach out for support. A problem shared is a problem halved. So if you've got someone to talk to, you've got no family back around you, or you got no friends, or you feel like you don't want to talk to your friends or your family, you want to reach out to different organisations for mental health support. Who has mental health? Every single person in the United Kingdom has some sort of mental health, some trauma. They're suffering some kind of trauma, whether it's they tripped over when I was 18, broke their leg, or broke their arm, or if they're cheated on or abused as a child, or maybe even abused by their parents, which is very extraordinary, or beaten up by or in a verbal breakdown in a relationship. There you go, Queenie. I mean, I'm always here for you. Got me anyway, so I'm always here for you. You got good friends back around you, but there is other help. If you don't want to talk to me or someone else, there is organisations. Anyone else is listening, there's organisations for help. I'm under neurologist. I'm under psychiatrist. I died 3 times when I was 18, and I've been under rehabilitation for since I was 18. I've done professional boxing, which I shouldn't have done with a brain injury. I've done. Obviously, I'm not brain dead. I've done lots of extra adult learning gym instructors course. Um, I've done ECDL, which is European Computer Driving License, and I'm studying Arts and Humanities and University. I just got to ignore his phone call. I'll have to bring my mate back in a minute. I just had to cut him off. Yeah, organisations, telephone, other information. The Samaritans. Call the Samaritans on 01708 765 200. Or there's a mind contact number 0300 0300 123 3393. Or you can text 86463. Or there's a number called Rethink. Is 0300 5000 927. 0300 5000 927. You can find the contact details on my YouTube channel, which is Proclamation News and Gatherings. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, the update is there. So it's always good to follow me on YouTube as well as Castbox, and I'm on live TV. I always give you the information you need. So please feel free to come through, subscribe to my channel. Let's have a little bit of a feedback of over the last few days. I've had my mate Aid on the call I've had my mate Aid on a telephone call. We was talking about various things that happened over the past week. We've had Prince Philip, Nikki from Big Brother, and DMX pass away with unforeseen circumstances. Illnesses that have occurred over the long period of time with COVID and everything, patients in hospital. I suppose it's not been the best to try and make them recover from the illness. Unfortunately for the royal family as well, it's a big loss for Buckinghamshire Palace. Obviously, Nikki was very young, and Big Brother losing her life through eating disorder. DMX, again, old age, probably no disrespect to the rap fan, the followers, the worshippers. He died of, it was a long going mental health battle that he was probably suffering, and obviously his organs ended up giving up, unfortunately. But anyway, let's moving on. We are also sponsored by PSS Alarms. Very etiquette and pragmatic works carried out. All areas covered, including central station monitoring provided. All works done according to insurance requirements. Here's a friend of mine's company. He's carried out works in Harry Kane's stepmother's house in Hertfordshire, Potter's Bar. He's carried out etiquette works in Essex, such as Casbah restaurant, and many more big businesses. Please call Tarek Khan. His contact details are 07908 07908 216 142. 07908 216 142 of intruder alarms, fire alarms, CCTV. All works guaranteed and certified to SSAIB standards 24-hour call-out service. You can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, or new business setup. Secure your business. Mention Professor Johnson for extra discounts. Secure your home. Secure your business. Your safety and priorities within your business are paramount. Think safety. Think first. Secure your equity. Anywhere in London, Hertfordshire, Essex. You probably do most of majority of London if it's feasible area. I don't think you want to travel much more than an hour and a half out of his distance unless you've got overnight stay or pay for him to stay in a perhaps or a hotel. Maybe you've got somewhere you can put him up for the night or however long the job is going to be. Anyway, moving on with the latest journalism. 6 people rescued and more missing after 6 people are rescued and more are missing after boat capsized off the Louisiana. Weather warnings. Terrible. Said it received an emergency signal at around 4:30 p.m. local time on Tuesday from a 129-foot commercial vessel 8 miles south of Port Fortune in the Gulf of Mexico. A widespread appeal for help was to put out to nearby civilian boats, and a Coast Guard vessel arrived on the scene within 30 minutes. A 154-foot Coast Guard cutter boat rescued one person from a capsized boat, while crew from the Coast Guard station and at the Grand Isle, 20 miles west of Port Falcon, it rescued another person. Civilian boats which joined the search efforts rescued 4 other people from the water. The Coast Guard said a large-scale rescue effort continued late into the night. Rescuers added, with 2 cutters, 2 smaller vessels, a helicopter and an aeroplane deployed as part of the effort. It was unclear how many more people may be missing. We're still searching for more people. Petty Officer Jonathan Alley, a spokesman for the Coast Guard 8th District, told the New York Times. Times Picayune reported that the vessel is used for oil and gas exploitation, and Lafourche Parish President Archie Chassin III confirmed to the outlet 18 people were on board before it capsized. Severe storms hit Louisiana on Tuesday, with a flash flood warning in place of southern eastern parts of the state of the National Weather Service, predicting up to 5 inches of rain and winds up to 50 miles per hour. Big shock for the headlines there, isn't it? A massive shock for the headlines. Easter Road care fire. Driver seen jumping out the vehicle before it burst into flames. Witness Harvey Blackmore said he saw smoke coming from a car that stopped at red light traffic light at Abbey Mount near Easter Road on Tuesday night at about 9:30 p.m. The driver was then seen making a quick exit before sparks flew and the car was fully ablaze. Speaking to Edinburgh Evening News, Mr. Blackmore said his car appeared to be smoking somewhat, and then there were some sparks as he jumped out and quickly moved to the sidewalk. Absolute provocation. Imagine that, driving your car and it just catches a blaze, and he literally got whiskers away from the vehicle before it caught ablaze. The aftermath. I wonder if he got caught. If he got caught with any smoke, carbon monoxide. Breathing that in is no good for himself, is it? Either. Very shortly after this, after smoke started blowing from under the bonnet, a small flame spat out from the front corner of the car. Very quickly grew. Mr. Blackmore said a member of the public assisted by directing traffic away from the Easter Road before police and Scottish Fire and Rescue Service arrived on the scene. Take car for MOT. Car seems to be running sufficient. You never know when your car is going to catch a blaze. What an horrific accident. There's quite an inferno going by the time the fire brigade arrived, he said. They took a moment to assess the situation and then extinguished the blaze with a hose. They spent a little time then ripping off the bonnet and ensuring the fire was fully extinguished. It's times like this when you think how lucky we are to be alive. That may have just occurred just out of the blue. We don't know the ins and outs of the story, but reading it wasn't done on purpose. It's completely an accident, and I don't think anyone would want to try and commit suicide. It's a complete accident. Pictures of the scene taken by Mr. Blackmore show the vehicle engulfed in flames and emergency services in attendance. He had the police closed off the road and consulted with the man driver, who appeared to be in his early 30s. After the brigade left, the police waited for a recovery truck to come and load the car. Appeared to be in his early 30s. After the fire brigade left, the police waited for a recovery truck to come and load the car. On a low bed to take it away, sweeping up the debris and melted plastic. It is understood that the driver did not suffer any injuries in the incident, and he was picked up by a friend shortly after talking with police. A police spokesman confirmed officers were at the scene and closed the road to arrange for a damaged vehicle to be recovered. A Scottish Fire and Rescue Service spokeswoman said, "We were alerted at 9:17 p.m. on Tuesday, April the 13th, to reports on a car fire on Abbey Mount near Easter Road, Edinburgh. Operations Control mobilised one appliance to the scene where firefighters extinguished the fire and made the area safe before leaving. There were no reported casualties." A message from the editor. Thank you for reading this article. Thank you for listening to this article. Please subscribe to my digital subscription. This is fast-checked journalism. It's supported and is trusted within Proclamation and News and Gatherance constituency, working on political analysts and criminology reports and weather warnings. Please make sure you share and subscribe Proclamation News and Gatherance. Soon we're going to be bigger and better. We're growing in business day in, day out. We're hopefully taking on big sponsors. We're going to hit all social media platforms. We're going to be hitting over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people listening daily within the UK and across the globe. I mean, my art is already hitting numbers across the globe because I've built my own website and I'll be sharing that with you as well. Again, PSS alarms are all over my media because they've been supporting me and I've been supporting them in the past. Thank you all. We can still keep the show going. I'll have a short break. We're going to let LBC play in the background for a good 10 minutes. We'll have a little break and then we're going to get through the rest of the 7 other segments. Thank you all so much. We've got a great show. We've got weather warnings. Things are opening up. As we know, Soho in London is absolutely jam-packed in the pubs. Are we going to be in lockdown by October by people not taking measures lightly? As in outside the pub, thousands of people, arms around each other, drinking as they usually would, and you know it's like after a drink, everything goes out the window.
Politicians lean on this, particularly higher echelons of Oregon. They lean on that notion of being a public servant, to appeal or to appear humble in many. Some people will be, but to be a public servant is, I think, quite a vocational thing. And that's why I was so discomforted by Boris Johnson saying that it is somehow uniformly a good thing that a public servant should have worked in the private sector. I don't believe that that's the case. I don't believe that crossover between one and the other is necessarily the end of the world or a bad thing. It can be a good thing. But the idea that it is intrinsically a good thing, I don't agree with, because to be a public servant in many cases is vocational. To be a doctor for 40 years, to be a police officer for 30 years, to be a local councillor, to be a nurse, all kinds of things. Public health directors that we've been leaning on a lot in the past few, that's a public servant. It shouldn't be about money. It should be about service. I'm going to talk about youth unemployment in a moment, particularly black youth unemployment.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 2 o'clock. Labour is setting out the case for a full parliamentary inquiry into the David Cameron lobbying row. The party has claimed that a review led by a government lawyer into Greensill Capital is not far-reaching enough. It emerged yesterday that a senior civil servant became an advisor for the firm while still working in Whitehall. Boris Johnson has told MPs the issue is a concern.
Top civil servants should be able to engage with business and should have experience of the private sector. When I look at accounts I'm reading today, it's not clear that those boundaries have been properly understood.
Industry leaders in the travel sector say the government's plan for restarting international trips is too slow. The head of EasyJet says European destinations, including Spain, Italy, Greece and Portugal, should be on the green list. People returning to the UK from a green country will not be required to self-isolate. Simon McNamara is from the International Air Transport Association.
The approach to reopening, we believe, is still too complex and too cautious, I'm afraid. We have to call that out. We are approaching a point where the pandemic in the UK is under control. We have good protections in place with testing, with vaccination as well, and we think we can open in a faster but safe way.
Scientists examining whether it's safe to mix COVID vaccines across 2 doses are expanding their trial. Researchers at Oxford University have been looking at the impact of combining the Pfizer and AstraZeneca jabs on the immune system. Vaccines from Moderna and Novavax are being added to the study. Britain will reportedly withdraw nearly all of its remaining troops from Afghanistan later this year. Washington announced yesterday that it will pull out American forces from the country by September the 11th. A merger between Virgin Media and O2 is a step closer. The £31 billion tie-up has been provisionally approved by the UK's competition watchdog. An investigation by the CMA found the deal unlikely to lead to higher prices or reduced quality of mobile services. In the city a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading up 20 at 69.11. The pound buys $1.37 and €1.15. And the weather dry and fine for most places. A few showers in the West Country, a high of 13 degrees. From Global's newsroom, I'm Thomas Watts.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Sheila Fogarty.
Hello, good afternoon to you. It looks as though serious consideration is being given again to care staff in residential care homes, and I do not know why domiciliary carers are excluded from this, but they typically seem to be. But anyway, there seems to be fresh impetus behind the idea of residential staff, residential care home staff being required to have a vaccination. You do wonder whether it's anything to do with that increase in cases in Lambeth and Wandsworth linked to a care home. We'll talk about that after 3.
£35 a month. Vodafone. Together we can.
Up to 3 boosters provided at no additional cost. Leave with no early termination fee within 30 days. Receive a third booster if receiving speeds below 10 megabits per second. Terms and verification, vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
When the world slowed down, you didn't. When others started another book, you started your first screenplay. When others had lions, you did morning sprints. But now, things are reopening. Go-getters. Time to go get the redesigned Jaguar range with luxurious interiors, updated Pippy infotainment, and electrified powertrain options. Now available for extended test drives. Contact your local Jaguar retailer to book. Specifications vary per model, terms and conditions apply.
The title of this little confusion is Fancy Dress. This party guest has spent a month crafting her pirate costume. She's even perfected her arr. But did the invite say wear fancy dress or wear a fancy dress? Arr. She's confused. There's nothing to misunderstand when you choose a free Confused.com reward with car or home insurance. Get a freebie from Domino's, Halfords, HelloFresh, or IMO Car Wash. I'm not confused. I'm Confused.com. Available on single annual policies. HelloFresh 18+ subscription service. Geographical exclusions apply. For T's and C's online.
Julius Caesar here. I have trust issues. Probably because my friends betrayed me to death. So when I need a tradesperson, I don't trust them. I trust Checkatrade. They check all their tradespeople and check the reviews are real. So I know they'll get the job done right without the treachery. Recommendations you can rely on.
Now we're gradually coming out of lockdown. We can finally meet up again outside. We want to do more than just meet up, don't we? Would a quick hug do any harm? Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. Could be a friend, a relative, it could even be you. It's hard, but don't get too close. Let's take this next.
Afternoon, ladies and gents. Back again, Professor Johnson, inside Proclamation News and Gatherings. You want to be prosperous, right? Prosperity matters. You might be feeling a bit despair because you come out of lockdown, you haven't got a job, you've got no aspirations in life, or you ain't got a direction to go to. You feel a bit run down. Obviously, that's why I've got the call to Samaritans. Rethink. Think of your childhood. What did you enjoy when you was going through school? Computers, sports. Maybe when you were a sports teacher, basketball teacher, boxing teacher, athletic teacher, anything. You enjoy art, being something creative. Well, this is skills you can learn, adult learning, to get you your new aspirations in life. You've got new aspirations. You want to work in an office, in a nice warm office full of other occupants inside. You want to be a PA, perhaps. You want to be a personal assistant or administration assistant. I mean, this is I am at the tether of my life, enjoying my life, the best of my abilitations. Hopefully, gonna hit the all the media on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Hoping my live's gonna go out to all the live channels. Proclamation News and Gatherings. It's a business to be recognised. A slowly performing business just needs to be substituted by the exchequer with, I'll do good things for the democracy, supporting the democracy back to rebuild back better. There's jobs applications out there. There's people supporting people get back into business, back into the business work sector as well. Maybe you want to be a shopping assistant, attender, or working working on a shop floor, stacking shelves, or working in NHS, a night porter, working in a hotel, hospitality in a hotel, cleaning the rooms, doing the laundry, changing the beds, working in the restaurant downstairs, perhaps. There's loads of different jobs, different applications, people helping you with CVs. Maybe you want to further your education in university. Go back to adult learning, get the qualifications you didn't get while you're at school, to get your knowledge, to have gain some wisdom, leave a legacy for your children to follow. Never give up in life. Always dig deep, work hard, and appreciate everything you do in life. I mean, I've been in university. I got taken off phone. I had to take myself off the first year. I'm struggling myself. Like I said, it's okay not to be okay. It's the support out there to help people back, to build back better. Absolutely, it's okay not to be okay. Citizens Advice, there's NHS with helplines if you're struggling with mental health or learning difficulties, and they'll put you on the right track. Reach out to someone that can help you, i.e. myself. I'll point you in the right direction. I believe in success is the only option. You get one life, so live it the best of your abilitations. Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in to Proclamation News and Gatherings. You can also email us at proclamationnewsandgatherings@yahoo.com. Proclamation News and Gatherings@yahoo.com. All one word, all small case, Proclamation News and Gatherings@yahoo.com. If you want any support, not financially, because I'm not financially stable, I'm getting there slowly but surely, working on that progression. I'm a Theophilus, one of Jesus' apostles. I go to church. I'm a church believer. I'm a church preacher. I'm a church evangelist in some light in the district. Some light in the district. There you go. I'm an evangelist because the rule of law starts in a Bible, whichever your Bible you read. If it's a Bible or you read the Quran, whichever religion or belief you believe in. The rule of law starts in the Bible. Then, you got your criminal law, you got your family law, you got a business law. you got all, you know, the rule of law starts with being the kind manners. Look at the royal family, part of the aristocracy, social elite, how we should treat one another with a bit of respect. Be polite. Manners don't cost a thing. Manners get you places. Manners, and supporting my show, coming in, listening, observing, staying preserved, shows that you're acknowledging good manners. You're not being abrupt. You're not trying to intervene. You can intervene, but not be abrupt with the presenter, the radio presenter. Come at me with, if you're part of the reading the journalism, it's in your constituency, something's troubling you in your day-to-day regime, or your children. You're worried about your children getting bullied at school. Which way to go about it? Maybe you want some customers' advice about a second-hand goods rather than going through trading standards, or you want some advice how to go about dealing with the effects. Again, you're more than welcome to send me an email have a discussion over Castbox. You can call it. There's a call-in button on Castbox. You can call in and give me your verdict. See if I can point you in the right direction. I'm here to support the other everyone in the democracy within the UK and worldwide. If you're suffering worldwide, you're worried about your grades not making grade in university, anything, literally anything, you can come to the task. As long as it's not relationship troubles. I'm not really one for relationship troubles. If you're in a bad relationship, get yourself out of it, get yourself better. Alcoholism and narcotics is something that's not going to give you the right verdict. It's going to give you bad mental health. That's what I can strongly suggest, because I live purely off the aesthetics of life 365 days a year. It's not hard to come by. Just don't drink. Just don't take narcotics. Easy as that. It's quite easy to keep the COVID R number down as well if you don't touch. Keep your immune system strong. Keep your germs at bay. There you go. Anyway, the weather warning for the forthcoming weeks. I don't drink. I don't take narcotics. I don't smoke. Obviously, you see me vaping on my live on show, because vaping is, it's not the best. It's not great. I wouldn't advise to vape, but if you smoke cigarettes, I advise you to vape rather than smoke cigarettes. You got a better chance of living. You don't see much people going into hospital with, but it's better. And partly sunny today. The forecast, partly sunny. I'll go in London. We've got London, Edinburgh, Belfast, and Cardiff. We'll go London first. That is where I am today. It's 8 degrees Celsius in Colchester, my constituency. London is 10 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow is going to be the same, slightly cloudy. Friday is 11 degrees Celsius in London, 4 degrees Celsius. Sunday is 13 degrees Celsius. And Monday, picking up to 16 degrees Celsius. Edinburgh in Scotland. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming through. Appreciate you coming through there. Today is 11 degrees Celsius in Edinburgh. Thursday is 12 degrees. Friday is 13 degrees in Edinburgh. Saturday is 13 degrees. Sunday, 11. And Monday, 11. Slight chance of rain on Monday in Edinburgh. We're looking Belfast. There we go. In Ireland. We're going to look over Ireland. Looking all over the UK dominion of the weather. Today, 11 degrees. Thursday, 11. Friday and Saturday, 12 degrees. Sunday and Monday are pretty much the same, with 11 and 10 degrees, with slight chance of rain. That is in Belfast. Birmingham weather forecast, ladies and gents. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to get the latest information on weather forecast, updated within the journalism. 10 degrees Celsius. 10 degrees Celsius in Birmingham. Thursday and Friday, we've got Thursday 10 and Friday 11. Saturday and Sunday, Saturday 13 and Sunday 13 degrees Celsius. Monday is 14 degrees Celsius. The weather is picking up in Birmingham as well on Monday. Manchester. We're going to go Manchester, Glasgow, and then we're going to hit on with the journalism. What's going on around the world? Today we have 11 degrees. Thursday and Friday is 12 degrees Celsius. Saturday is 13 degrees Celsius. Sunday and Monday we've got 12 and 13 degrees Celsius. Pretty much the same all over the globe, isn't it? All over the United Kingdom. The weather is pretty much the same. We've got today is 12 degrees Celsius. Thursday and Friday we've got 14 degrees Thursday, 13 Friday. Saturday and Sunday we've got 13 degrees Saturday. Sunday we've got 10 degrees on Saturday with slight chance of rain, and Monday is 10 degrees Celsius with a more chance of rain at 87% in Liverpool. We're going to Liverpool. Sorry to put the Liverpool accent on. I'm not picking on Liverpoolians, the Scousers, as they've been called over the past. Today we've got 12 degrees Celsius. Thursday and Friday is 13 degrees Celsius. Saturday and Sunday, Saturday 14, Sunday 13, and Monday is 13. Pretty much the same all over the United Kingdom. There we go. Adil Ray can't hold in laughter after Kate Garraway makes innuendo. Of the giggles on Wednesday's episode of Good Morning Britain over his co-host Kate Garraway's checkout toast innuendo. The TV presenter 46 is filling in for the month of April after former host Piers Morgan quit the programme. After returning from the ad break, Kate 53 had taken a bite of food with Adil, telling viewers, "I'll do this bit because Kate's just eating some toast." Finishing her toast, Kate held out her arms and said, "I swallowed." Unable to hold in his laughter, Adil replied, "Oh, you've swallowed." "I was ready to go," Kate replied. Adil then looked at his co-host and mouthed the words, "I'm sorry," as they went on to a competition. It comes after Adil took to Twitter on Saturday and revealed he also be co-hosting with Susanna Reid throughout April. The broadcaster tweeted some news for you. "I'll be co-hosting at GMB, Good Morning Britain, throughout the whole of April, Monday to Wednesday, starting this Monday, with Kate Garraway and with Susanna Reid after the holidays. I would love for you to make it your daily wake-up if you fancy it. Good Morning Britain," he says. Adil has been regular standing presenter on Good Morning Britain since 2018 and has previously co-hosted the ITV show with both Susanna 50 and Kate. It comes after it's claimed that Susanna is reportedly being lined up as the solo star of Good Morning Britain following Piers' departure from The Breakfast Show. Susanna will allegedly continue her role as host alongside rotating co-hosts for the next 6 months as bosses rush to ensure she doesn't follow Piers' footsteps by quitting. It's also been reported that bosses are keen to have Alex Beresford make some more regular appearances as GMB's host, while competition star Andy Peters is also allegedly being lined up for a bigger role. According to The Sun, bosses will have Susanna take control of GMB in the coming weeks, with the star to set and have input in the show behind the scenes. The former BBC Breakfast star will continue to appear alongside regular hosts Ben Shepherd and Alex, but bosses haven't ruled out a long-term replacement for Piers in the future. Piers, 56, famously left Good Morning Britain after saying he didn't believe a word of Meghan Markle's account on experiencing racism and any of our charges against her husband, Prince Philip's royal family, during the bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey. Kate has spent thousands adapting to North London house for her COVID-stricken husband, Derek Draper, prior to his return to the family last Wednesday after his year-long hospital stay. The presenter has transformed the family home to suit the former lobbyist's needs as he required it to have 24/7 care while continues his recovery. It comes after Kate admitted that it has been completely overwhelming, but also wonderful having Derek back during a candid interview on Monday's Good Morning Britain. Who watches the Good Morning Britain show? Kate revealed the changes she made to the family home on her heartbreaking documentary Finding Derek last month, where she added a wheelchair lift, wet room, alarm system, and good floor bedroom to the house. The presenter installed the lift so her home is wheelchair accessible for Derek, who will be using a wheelchair during his recovery at home. Kate has also converted the ground floor lounge into his new bedroom, which has been fitted with a hospital bed for him because the virus has damaged the former lobbyist muscles. Kate explained to viewers, at the moment, what we're doing, we've got an occupational therapist that deals with the laying out of the home, looking at putting in wet rooms, basically ground floor living. He'll be on a stretcher or a wheelchair, and also they're trying to figure out how to put a lift in the garden. Kate also revealed that she will sleep downstairs in Put Me Up bed, so that she can be close to Derek while she picked small mosaic tiles that are Derek's favourite for the new barn. The presenter also has a team of carers coming into the house, and she said it's like having a ward at home now because he needs so much equipment. For her co-host Ben Shepherd told ITV's Good Morning Britain recently. That's phenomenal, isn't it? You know, like people that need that extra care do get the support, AMID support financially and both physically through these mental health teams to get you about the house. The TV presenter has had her family home adapted so that Derek could come back and receive round-the-clock care at the North London property. Kate is now believed to be facing medical bills costing her tens of thousands. Earlier this week, Kate admitted it had been completely overwhelming, but also wonderful, having Derek back home during a candid interview on Monday's Good Morning Britain. The presenter sweetly added that their two children, Darcy, 15, and son, Billy, 11, are over the moon and overwhelmed in equal measure at having Derek back, who will work with physiotherapists and speech therapists. Kate listened to bringing home a newborn baby, saying after extensive planning, she asked herself, what the heck do we do now? But she stressed, it has been completely overwhelming, but also wonderful, she exclaims. The star added, we are over the moon and overwhelmed in equal measure. I do remember that day when you brought home your firstborn and you had a sort of been planning for 9 months, and then you think, what the heck do we do now? It's a little bit like that feeling. It's been completely overwhelming, but also wonderful. Kate has added, it was a medical reason for coming home as well as our desire and his desire to encourage a normal environment to stimulate his recovery and consciousness. And they, the children, have been absolutely loving it. Really helpful. It's been great, actually, Kate says. But she said after a year in intensive care, their children, Darcy and Billy, have started deferring questions to their father. Kate added, I've noticed a little bit of deferring, actually. Like, should we check with Dad? And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, hang on a minute, I'm still the boss. They're absolutely excited and overwhelmed, and obviously we are there for support, but I'm not a doctor. Reflecting on one sweet moment, the presenter said, last night, my youngest son was going to bed. He was saying, Mum, can we just take a moment? He's still home. It's been fantastic, overwhelming and challenging, and obviously there's a long way to go to see more of Derek that we love and the dad we love. And we have to see how that goes, but it's just wonderful to have him there. Kate also revealed our home has fitted with an alarm system in case Draper needs urgent attention. She said he can press it with his right hand, and if he needs us, there are people there for Derek. There's someone there for the children. It was a slightly strange feeling when I thought, oh my goodness. We'll hope this be the future situation and he won't have to go back to hospital. Elsewhere, on Friday's Good Morning Britain, Kate tearfully recalled moments from the last few days, including setting the table for 4 people instead of 3. After a year of it being just her and the children at home, she said that having Derek home felt like the start of a new chapter, but really a big important one, remarking on the significance of setting the dinner table for 4 instead of 3. Kate began to well up as she spoke about making Derek one of her casseroles. Recalling, as I was laying out the plates, I realised I was laying out 4. It makes me cry now. And Darcy was saying, "Oh, we're going to put 4 spoons down." And Billy was like, "Have we got enough mash?" I said, "Yes, I don't think Dad's going to be eating that much," but suddenly remembered Dad's old portions. We aren't all sitting around the dinner table. We just construct a version of it. It just feels like the start of a huge chapter, but a really big and important one. It's such a silly little thing, but it was just, oh my goodness, it's massive. Kate added that Derek is aware that he's home and is responding all the time, but is unable to talk. We called in a moment he finally came home. Kate said, when he came in the door and pulled up, I could see Darcy and Billy looking out the window, and they ran out and ran to the door, and he immediately burst into tears, and there was a lot of hugging. He knew he was home. He was responding all the time. What he's not able to do is talk, but he's responding and aware where he is. There has been so many lovely little moments. He can also swallow a little bit now, so I said, let's get you around the table for a little bit. Discussing Derek's ongoing health needs, she explained. He really can't move. He needs a lot of help. It's 24/7 care. I can't really sleep, as you can probably tell. It's a new team now helping him and working with him. It's going to take a lot of adjustment. On top of the care side, there's also a therapeutic side. This isn't just for us, but I'm helping. By helping, it will prompt some recovery. As Kate from Good Morning Britain, Derek is under care, under treatment. Former lobbyist Derek has now been taken off all hospital machines, but his family have been warned he's still a long way to go to recover from the virus. Kate explained that while she shows pleased to see Derek's progress, things have seemed to slow down. She revealed it's going to take a lot of adjustment, but on top of the care side, there's a very specialised therapeutic intervention which will have to come in and make sure that it isn't just about getting him with us or for us. It's hoping that actually this will prompt some recovery. It's definitely sort of plateaued at this level. Obviously, we're very grateful for this level, but want to see if we can move forward, if we can get him speaking more and able to move more, to see what we can draw out. It's going to be very, very slow and a bit of a wait to see. The physiotherapy, occupational therapy, neurology, physiotherapy, as well as speech and language therapy, all working on a program. What they've said is purpose is that we hope we come in so they can see children playing, with it perhaps prompt him to say, what you're building with your Lego Bill, or what you're doing, Darcy, rather than force situation in a vacuum in a room with people in PPE. She continued, you saw in the documentary, there have been improvements in autumn. He's using more words and there are more things that he can do now. He's got some more movement in his hands. He can show emotion, but it's felt as though everything has stalled medically, and if anything was going slightly back, obviously within the necessary COVID restrictions that are in place. I couldn't visit family. Family couldn't visit. Even some of the therapeutic things we want to do to help him move forward couldn't happen. So taking all that into account, they said, right, let's give this a go. Let's get him home safely. So it does feel like a little bit like hospital has come home with me at the moment, as we've got all sorts of professional people making sure everything is safe, and then see how being in the family environment could help. She added that their children have been amazing throughout, stating they're both just not stopping cuddling him. That's Kate Garraway from Good Morning Britain. Her husband Derek is recovering COVID and he's on life support machines at home to make him back able. I hope you take that into some consideration. What pressure she's under. Not only is she on Good Morning Britain show, she has to go home and support her husband, support the children's father. it's a bit of a shock for anyone in the family getting COVID. PMQs, Johnson defends inquiry amid lobbying vow. Thanks for joining us at Proclamation News and Gatherings, you observers and everyone staying preserved and staying loyal to the show. We'll be bringing the live page to a close for today, but don't worry, we're keeping across the lobbying vow and inquiry. Be sure to follow all the news at Proclamation News and Gatherings on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and Castbox. The Prime Minister concerned over civil servants' Grenzill job. Boris Johnson's prompts a probe into cronyism claims, but Labour says the government is beset by sleaze. Labour attacks Tory sleaze amid lobbying row. Boris Johnson said his party has been consistently tough on lobbying and rejects a probe by MPs. Highlights from the PMQs. As expected, the lobbying row dominated most of PMQs, but in case you missed it, here are the highlights from today's session at Proclamation News and Gatherings right here, right now. Thank you all for listening. Boris Johnson said he shares widespread concern about lobbying stories in the press. He added that it was not clear that the boundary between the civil service and the private sector had been properly understood. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said Grenzill is the tip of the iceberg and described it as a return to Tory sleaze. Prime Minister did not say if he knew or other incident of public servants working from private companies while still in post. He also said he could not remember the last time he spoke to David Cameron. The SNP's Ian Blackford said the UK government was morally repugnant for trying to strike down a law aimed at protecting children's rights. Labour's Vicky Foxcroft criticised the PM for failing to provide a sign language interpreter at government COVID press briefings. Conservative Sir Peter Bottomley praised for the rollout of vaccination programme. Labour MP Kim Johnson urged the government to withdraw the race report. And finally, the Prime Minister urged people to tick off litterbugs. Did Labour want to get rid of the lobbying laws? Prime Minister Boris Johnson claimed Labour campaigned at the last general election to get rid of the rules on lobbying. In 2019, Labour manifesto did say, "We will free the voices of civil society by repealing the Lobbying Act 2014 and overhauling the rules that govern corporate lobbying." But that came in a section about tackling vested interests that also pledged to introduce a lobbying register covering contacts with the senior government employees, not just ministers. It stops MPs taking paid second jobs, except if they need to maintain professional registration, such as for nurses. Replace the Business Appointments Committee, ACOBA, with a better funded and more powerful body. Watch MP sign her questions at PMQ. Labour MP Vicky Foxcroft asked a question in sign language. If the Prime Minister doesn't understand, why does he still not have sign language at his press briefings? Boris Johnson replies, "I'm grateful. I will revert to her as soon as I can." Why aren't the government press briefings signed? On BBC Two's Politics Live, the conversation moves to the lack of sign language interpreters at UK government coronavirus press briefings, asked why this is the case. A Conservative MP, Andrea Leadsom, says she is a big fan of sign language interpretation at these press conferences, as she has no idea why that isn't being done. Labour MP Chris Bryant said the government in Wales has been doing it in every briefing since the start of the pandemic and calls for it to be introduced in Downing Street. Watch return of Tory sleaze. The Grenzill scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just a return of Tory sleaze, says the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. Ted Hastings and AC12 are needed to get to the bottom of this one. PM says we are rooting on bent coppers. Watch open door for lobbyists. Does the Prime Minister accept there is an open door between his Conservative government and paid lobbyists? Asked Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. Boris Johnson says we put it in the register for lobbyists, adding the Labour repealed the 2014 Lobbying Act. No surprise from Starmer at attack lines. It was no surprise that Sir Keir Starmer focuses on what he called the return of the Tory sleaze. Labour feels this is fruitful line of attack against the government, and the review is set up isn't fit for purpose. The Prime Minister's response relied on two-pronged strategy. First, you might want to call quick sidestep to say he's concerned about lobbying and then say Sir Keir Starmer should forward any concerns he has with the review itself. Secondly, it was a swift segue when Sir Keir said Prime Minister arguments remind him of his time as a prosecutor in court, what he called the shoplifter defence. Boris Johnson recalled his own time as Mayor of London cutting crime and murder rates, adding he was now busy rolling out vaccines. The lobbying debate continues. To be fair, it is down to the Mayor of London to cut down the crime rates, as we know. And we do have Sadiq Khan, which is a Labour. He is one of Labour MPs. But I'm hoping, upon hope, no disrespect to Sadiq Khan, I don't know what his input is. I know he's quite a lot in the media. But I'm hoping Nims Obungi, so it's an independent standing-in candidate, but also he's an evangelist. And I find the near Nigerians very collective, calm, kind nature, and I think the message if we put across in an evangelist kind of setup, a get-up, might get people backing him and having the support from all the people within Christianity churches. His stand-up, his get-go, everything, the way he preaches, be like a Martin Luther King kind of get-up. I'm surmising. It's got that image of him, you know. If you listen to him on the YouTube channel, give him his verdict of the criminology within London. That's his get-go, his speech within evangelism, his Theophilus output, his integrity, his passion of God, or the word Jesus, the Bible, at the Bible, all the you can imagine all the coherent text. His vocals come from the Bible, Scripture. The lobbying debate continues. Surely MPs will begin a debate on a Labour motion, which calls for a broader inquiry into lobbying by a cross-party panels of MPs. Speaking to the BBC, Labour Rachel Reeves argued the remit of the inquiry launched by the government was too narrow, just focusing on Grenville. When we know the issues around lobbying and access go much wider than that. She also accused the government of handpicking a close friend of the Conservative Party to lead the inquiry. However, Boris Johnson defended the inquiry, arguing that Labour's plan would mean politicians making their own homework. Queensberg, Starmer embraces former life as lawyer. Over to BBC Two's Political Live, and our political editor, Laura Queensberg, speaks about lobbying focus of the exchange. She says Keir Starmer's embraced his former life as a lawyer in the P&Qs and was trying to make himself out to be a sleazebuster in the House of Commons. I mean, if you want to attack Sir Keir Starmer, I'm not a great fan of attacking politicians, really. I'm a conservative, but as I'm a producer, I'm sort of just trying to provide good content for all sides of the political spectrum. You got your centre right, you got your right wing, you got your left wing. You know, I'm sitting on all sides just to try and invite more people in as a quite kind, calm, just flowing show. But I am conservative through and through. As you can see, I mean, the Mayor of London is a total different perspective. I'm going for an independent Mayor of London, but everything else, you know, left, right, centre, north of politics, I'm all for Conservatives. But the Mayor of London, I think it'd be a good idea to give it some independent input, see what feedback we get with his work. That'd be great, I believe. Says the Labour Party wants to make this into a broad and consistent attack on the government. Labour are trying to make impression that the culture is endemic in the government, which the Conservative deny. Right now, Boris Johnson has no appetite to have a wholesale inquiry, she adds. Successful governments have grappled with this for years and years and years, but the various organisations designed to look over lobbying don't have teeth. One watchdog has only powers to send polite but strongly worded letters to warn former ministers, she says. Litterbug fines, not draconian, says Johnson. The final questions comes from Conservative Gareth Davis, who asks what it is being done to tackle littering. Boris Johnson says he shares the MP's indignation about littering and urges people meeting outdoors to obey the basic laws of respect of other people. He adds that his government is increasing on the spot fines for littering. Many may think that's draconian. Personally, I think it's the right thing to do, says the PM. He also urges people to pick up a tick of litters, and that includes today's PMQ. When did the PM last speak to David Cameron? Labour, Ruth Cadbury asked Boris Johnson when he last spoke to David Cameron. I can't remember when I spoke to Dave, the PM replies. He adds that he has not had any contact with the Prime Minister about the matters that have been in the press. While government press conferences shown in sign language, Labour MP Vicky Foxcroft asked a question in sign language. She then says if the Prime Minister doesn't understand, why does he still not have sign language in his press briefings? She asks what's the point of the new 2 million press briefing room if it is not inclusive for disabled people. Boris Johnson thanks her for the way she asked the question and says he'll write to her as soon as I can. Labour's Kim Johnson says, contrary to the race report released earlier this month, institutional racism still exists. She asked the Prime Minister to answer allegations that Downing Street redrafted to the report change the narrative and urged him to withdraw it entirely. Boris Johnson said the report has interesting observations but adds that the government wouldn't necessarily agree with everything in it. He adds his government will do everything we can to tackle inequality. I mean, the International Bill of Rights, it says it what it is on the tin, but doesn't quite subsidise what it's supposed to produce. Support inequalities throughout the nation. A man and a female should be equal with rights and opportunities. It's not the case. I've said this time and time again. I'm not going to go over the same context. It needs to be put straight. Parental responsibilities, PAYE, and jobs which women get left out. You've got to make it. You've got to, weigh up the pros and cons. What's going to work better across the diversity. Labour MP Big Ben. It bongs replaced by bungs. Labour MP Matt Weston used an old Turkish proverb in the question to the PM saying, the fish rots from the head down. He says Boris Johnson became Prime Minister. Big Ben bongs have been replaced by bungs. His list of accusations made against the government of lobbying, including Grenville contracts on PPE granted to Tory donors and friends of Health and Secretary Matt Hancock. But Boris Johnson says he is wrong in this instance and he doesn't believe Mr Weston should have spoken in that way. He says there is one party which has brought in tough lobbying rules, accusing Labour of giving too much power to trade unions. More on the British National Front government. Who do we have in the tabloids? Oh my goodness, looks like Elizabeth Truss. Government's LGBT advisory panel disbanded. It's a political correspondent by Jessica Parker. Equalities Minister, Elizabeth Truss, set to plan up a new advisory group. The government LGBT advisory panel has been disbanded after 3 members quit last month, the BBC can reveal. The government spokesperson said a replacement for the panel, which was set up under Theresa May's premiership, will be set out in due course. Some members told the BBC they had been willing to stay on and their terms ended on the 31st of March. A Conservative backbencher has accused the government of a series of unforced errors. It understood the panel has not formally met senior government representatives since last year. All our government sources says there has been communications with officials. Equalities Minister. Equalities Minister Liz Truss has now written to the remaining members, thanking them for their constructive input. In a letter sent by the BBC, Liz Truss said, I will be shortly making an announcement concerning the International LGBT Conference and convening a new body that will take international LGBT rights forward. Untold Damage. The panel was set as a part of the LGBT action plan established under Theresa May. It was to advise ministers on issues and policies concerning lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people. 3 advisors quit last month over the government handling of LGBT rights, and Abbey claims it was dragging its feet on a pledge to ban so-called conversion therapy. The first to resign, Jane Zane, accused ministers of creating a hostile environment for LGBT people. She said it was such a shame that mistrust was disbanded in the advisory panel. It was a force for good where the need of LGBT people could be heard and understood. This does nothing to rebuild trust or to reassure LGBT community or grave concerns, she added in a Twitter message. That's good news. If you're part of the LGBT group, you need some reassurance, a bit of support. Maybe it's worth sending Elizabeth Truss a backup support message. Maybe you want to, if you're that way inclined, it's hard for you if you're a bloke, especially, or a transgender, trying to get yourself on the council register, trying to get your own property. And the council not going to house you because you haven't got no family, you've got no children. Maybe it's worth going for that LGBT support route for Elizabeth Truss if you're a Conservative member or follower. Conservative MP Crispin Blunt leads the all-party parliamentary group on global LGBT. White said the government delays and inaction mean the Prime Minister isn't a branch of promise on causes he supports. The government is led by one of the most socially liberal, live and let live leaders in our history, he said. Yet it is making a series of unforced errors that it will serve to woefully unnecessarily alienate LGBT people and do untold damage to his reputation. If the Prime Minister wants to establish the values of global Britain on human rights, then it is hardly the moment to dispose of your experts, he added. Conversion therapy. Nancy Kelly, Chief Executive of campaign group Stonewall, who was one of the remaining panel members, said many key commitments from the UK LGBT action plan remain incomplete, including delivering an effective ban on conversion therapy, and the pandemic has only deepened the inequalities through LGBTQ people experience, partially in mental health. Stonewall was keen to continue working with the government to progress LGBT plus rights, she added, and she urged the government to ensure the new advisory panel included experts on both domestic and global LGBT plus policy. In a letter to the panel, Ms. Truss said, I am pressing ahead with our commitment to ban conversion therapy in order to protect LGBT people from the abhorrent practice. I look forward to announcing these measures shortly. The government said the LGBT advisory panel was created under the previous administration, and the term of all the panel members ended on the 31st of March. The Minister for Women and Equalities has written to the panel members to thank them for their contributions, and plans for replacement for the panel will be set out, all due on course. Proclamation news and gatherings. We're going back to LBC for a short amid break, guys. Thank you ever so much. Make sure you share and subscribe. I'm supporting the whole democracy. Every update I give has always got something for the audience. LGBT, you might have a cousin, auntie, uncle, brother, sister, anything across that venture. You know where to look. And I'm giving you mental health support, and I'm giving you so much advice daily. So make sure you stay tuned. And weather updates. Don't forget criminology within your constituency, quite possibly.
Remember, hands, face, space, and fresh air.
How you feel tomorrow starts with a safe, spacious gym experience at Nuffield Health. With swimming pools, expert personal trainers, functional fitness areas, and physios at your local centre. How you feel tomorrow starts today. Join today and pay no activation fee. Search Nuffield Health Gyms. Offer available for a limited time. Selected gyms reopen April 12th. Facilities available at selected locations. COVID-19 guidelines will be followed. Visit nuffieldhealth.com/terms for details.
Sheila Fogarty on LBC.
With Curry's PC World, making it easier to choose sustainable technology.
When it comes to jobs, the hardest hit have been young people during the pandemic. The hardest hit amongst them has been Black young people when it comes to finding a job, keeping a job. I'd be really keen to know what your experience as a young Black person, a young Asian person as well. I mean, I don't want to be too limiting of who can call with your views on employment and getting a job, but I'm really keen to focus on that figure because 35% unemployment amongst young Black people since the pandemic is huge, and it's just a wider version of what existed before, a wider gap between the different ethnic groups amongst young people looking for work, but it has really widened during the pandemic. What's been your experience of looking for work, keeping work? And as you were growing up, because I was conscious when I was talking to Paul there, when I was growing up, the only preconception I had about jobs that I might do was probably based on being female rather than anything else. And even then, if I'd been brilliant at, I don't know, physics, and I was not, let me emphasize, but if I'd been brilliant at physics and chemistry and said to my parents, I really want to do an engineering degree, they wouldn't have batted an eyelid. I'm going back 30 odd years here, 40 years, 35 years. And they'd have said, great, do it. If that's what you want to do it. So I had that encouragement. I had, like I say, the only sort of preconceptions around the kind of work I would do or could do were about gender, I think. And even then, like I say, I think
has been a critical part of enabling us to get out of lockdown. So naturally, as good providers, we want our staff and to take every risk and mitigate every risk absolutely possible to stop the virus getting into our care homes. So vaccination is one of the leading ways of being able to do that. It's one of the tools in the armory with PPE. However, we do welcome this consultation because, as you say, it does have many aspects to it. I believe some care providers are looking at this situation quite closely indeed. Of course, we have faced many challenges through the last year with PPE shortages, lack of testing. Many care homes actually have low occupancy as well due to COVID. So we are facing many problems. Also staff shortages, and whether this would actually add on to staff shortages would be a concern as well. However, we do know that there are a few relatives who are already requesting that their loved ones within the care settings be looked after, people who have been vaccinated. However, we do think that the government should not only look at social care home staff being vaccinated, because the NHS staff also look after the really vulnerable people. So we do wonder why we have been singled out for this. But as good care providers, naturally, we do want to mitigate every risk possible. And of course, it is a duty of care of everybody who looks after vulnerable people to
I
take
suppose,
as many
I know there's a bit of feedback on the line, so I won't interrupt you too much, but I suppose that the difference between the NHS and residential social care in this instance, in England at least, is there is a big difference between the uptake of vaccination in the NHS versus the uptake of vaccination in adult care homes. Only 53%, so only a whisker over half of carers, of care homes, are meeting this threshold of 80 to 90% of residents needing to be vaccinated, whereas the uptake in the NHS is proving to be far higher.
Yes, well, the number of our residents is very high who have been vaccinated. Of course, there always are an element of certain people who can't be vaccinated. So we do have to take them into account as well and protect them as much as we possibly can. And the same with our care staff. We do want our care staff to be able to take as much precautions as they possibly can to protect our residents. So we do welcome this consultation, which we hope will come to a conclusion at the end of May.
Do you think that this consultation, because I think the point you make about staff shortages is a really important one, an obvious one, do you think that this consultation and maybe the message that results from it, that is perhaps harder than messaging so far, is just about pushing those numbers up rather than being absolute about it?
I think as care providers, we do need to take every precaution that we possibly can. And naturally, it would give us more security to know that all of our staff are vaccinated. However, whether it does become mandatory is going to be looked at by this consultation. We do have this vision of the future that we hope we can get back to normality, but we do have to be so careful. Even if we've been vaccinated, we do not know what the transmission rates are, so we do have to take every precaution that we possibly can through testing, PPE, and every other infection control measure we possibly can.
Thanks very much indeed, Joyce Binfield, Vice Chair of the National Care Association, Managing Director at Worcester Garden Limited, operating a care home in Scunthorpe. Nathan Donaldson is an employment solicitor at Keystone Law. It's a tricky one, this, isn't it, Nathan? Because there is already a shortage of staff in this sector. It would seem counterproductive to say to some of them, go home and don't come back.
Yes, it is a very difficult area at the moment, both for the care home providers and the staff, and there's naturally a balancing act that needs to be done. And we are obviously in a completely unprecedented time, and the case law and the guidance regarding this is constantly evolving. So it's very, very difficult to make sort of long-term and pragmatic decisions. But the starting point is, at the moment, I think, though there is a lot of differing opinion as to compulsory vaccination, I think the safest position is legally it's not something that an employer can, in a care sector, make compulsory, and that's why the government has started this consultation, because it recognises that there needs to be some further statutory steps that are put in place that will give employers in the care sector the security, legal security, to be able to insist on vaccination. But it's very complicated. There will always, even if the government does elect to sort of push forward with some sort of statutory right to enforce vaccination, there will have to be exemptions. Disability, have pre-existing medical conditions, age, philosophical belief, religion. Some religions are,
philosophical belief. What if my philosophical belief is that Bill Gates is trying to take over the world?
Yeah, well, I suspect that would not be a protected characteristic that would be given protection by the tribunals. It doesn't mean that care homes won't have to suffer those types of claims being brought, but these are the sort of range of issues that they will sort of struggle with. And I think even if there is the decision to make a statutory basis for insisting on vaccination, there will be a significant amount of exemptions to address sort of the variety of the workforce that care homes have. But let's not forget that this has been an unprecedented year for the care home sector. I think, both management and staff and residents and family have suffered trauma. It's been absolutely devastating. Some of my clients have occupancy rates down to 40-50% of what they were due to the pandemic, and that's tragically due to death and hospitalization. It's and you have to remember,
and people also, I imagine also people who might have gone into care not going into care at the moment because families are nervous about the process.
Yes, absolutely. And what's very different to the care sector compared to perhaps hospitals and clinics is that carers work with these individuals day in, day out. They become sort of extended family members. So it's not like a patient that they'll see for a very short period of time and then they go off and live their normal life. But
hang on that, you see, sorry to be cynic about this, but some do, but you cannot claim to be an extended family member in spirit whilst endangering someone.
Well, it's about risk, isn't it? And obviously some individuals do take a view that the risk of vaccination for themselves outweighs what they perceive to be the benefit for the organisation. And so it's hard to be totally critical of people that may resist vaccination. And it is, actually very common in the younger care workers, in my experience with my clients, because they are unfortunately being misinformed by Facebook and LinkedIn. There's huge concerns about misperceived concerns about infertility as a result of having the vaccination. But thus far, the vast majority of my clients in the care sector are working on a basis of informing and educating and working with their staff to sort of educate them as to the pros and benefits, and just sort of try and get rid of this misinformation that is existing there on social media.
But it's interesting because all of just a final thought, all of the things that Joyce raised and you have raised, similar things and more, you've got to wonder what the realistic intention of this consultation is, because, you know, ideally you want everybody saying, yes, please, can I have my vaccination? Clearly we don't have that rates like that even remotely across the board in English care homes. You've got to wonder whether realistically, given all the provisos you've just put in there about what's possible and what's not, that this is just about frightening the horses a little into pushing those numbers up.
Well, I hope it isn't as crude as that. I hope that obviously any sort of statutory basis of insisting will be subject to an informing and consultation with the workforce, which I suspect it will have to be. I do think the legal sort of view and society is moving more towards the idea that vaccination is the right thing to do. I think, you know, Professor Chris Whitty said it was a professional obligation for anyone in a medical setting to have the vaccination.
I would agree with him.
Me too. And I think it's really that what the statutory regime has to set out is that there is a justifiable health and safety concern enabling employers to insist on vaccination, but that equally must be accompanied by the obligation to inform and consult with your workforce, and therefore to be reasonable exemptions on medical age, disability type of ground. So it's about a balance, it's reaching a balance on the desire
but
to...
not on the ground of I read rubbish on YouTube, you know?
Exactly, exactly. I totally agree with that.
Thanks, Nathan Johnson, employment solicitor at Keystone Law. Thanks to Joyce Kinfield as well. You'll have guessed by now, I'm taking a realistic about people, a line. This is my line. Realistic about people who can't take this thing. But come on about the ones who won't. Come on. 360.
LBC. So who can?
So I can.
Pharmaceuticals.
Love me more.
So I can.
Deal with anxiety.
Shine through down.
Lift my toddler. Clear my head. Be more confident.
So I can.
Join V Gym Colchester. Get your first month half price for only £7 and no joining fee. Participating gyms, T&Cs apply.
So I can.
You've had the idea for months now. You've told your friends about it. Your mum, your mum's mum, your yoga instructor. You've worked out every detail. The name, the logo. Now it's time to Squarespace it. But you don't know a thing about websites? Squarespace it. Worried about it looking good? That's what templates are for. Squarespace it. But you need more than a site? Need a whole brand, social campaigns, promotion, the whole lot? Squarespace it. It's that easy. Got an idea? Squarespace it. Use offer code Squarespace it for 10% off your first website.
Let's keep Scotland special. It's all of ours to care for. Our wildlife need their space and our respect. Our communities need our time and our support. Buy local, eat local, and move on if things are busy. Take only pictures and leave only footprints so we can leave these special places as we find them. Scotland, yours to enjoy responsibly. Find out more at visitscotland.com/enjoy.
It's a dog. It's a cat. It's a dog.
We are now going to witness the effect of eating a Big Tasty from McDonald's. It's back. Big Tasty, big silence. Served after 11 a.m, participating restaurants only, available until the 4th of May.
That's the sound of someone experiencing yet another light bulb moment while watching the Yesterday Channel on demand on UK TV Play. UK TV Play is a TV app where you can catch up and stream loads of great shows, including those from the Yesterday Channel. It's completely free on your TV, mobile or online. UK TV Play, the TV app where you can find the Yesterday Channel on demand. Oh, there's another one.
Priya's gonna love her present.
Oh, yeah?
A Samsung Galaxy A52 5G. Look, it's got an awesome quad camera, a huge 6.5-inch infinity display, a battery that lasts for ages, and you can use 5G with it. It was easy on the wallet too.
Maybe I should have it instead.
What about Priya?
Vouchers?
The new Samsung Galaxy A52 5G. Awesome is for everyone. Search A52 5G to find out more.
I want Sam
to stop screaming.
I want Poppy.
Want to make it happy, healthy, and secure. So when you take out an optimized life insurance plan, you'll get up to 40% off your premiums. Want the twins?
I just want whatever the twins are on.
Just search Vitality Life Insurance. Additional product, minimum monthly premiums and conditions apply.
You'll find bags of value at Tesco Mobile, like our 8 gig no contract SIM for just £10 a month. And you'll have the freedom to change your data bundle or cancel your SIM at any time. So no contract and no strings. If you're looking for a catch, try the fish aisle. This is Supermarket Mobile. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Purchased from available credit. Expires after 1 month. Renews automatically each month. Requires Tesco Mobile or unlocked phone. Phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
No, it's not necessarily a care home issue intrinsically, this, but it certainly seems to have begun as one. But we'll talk to Charlotte Lynch, LBC's reporter, again in a few moments, because that surge testing is extending to another borough, so 3 and counting. Vaccination, folks. Jane in Manchester. Hello, you work in a care home.
Hi there. Yeah, thanks for my call. Yes, I do.
And what's your position on this?
I'm with you 100%. I just can't understand it. We had a great vaccine program in our place after being completely hammered by COVID in December. And there were about 2 or 3 girls that refused to take it. And it just baffled me because we had residents who couldn't visit dying relatives, or if they could, they had to isolate, and it was complicated. A lot of them chose not to for their own health. And we sit with them, and they'd look through the window while we were holding their loved one's hand. And I just thought, if we knew that some people had refused to have a vaccine.
But they do know. But they do know, because it's public knowledge that at least half of English care homes, sorry, not at least, just over half of English care homes have 80 to 90% vaccination. That's not good enough. And that it's the lack of logic of it that drives me crazy. You know, people not being able to go near their relatives, but carers coming and going willy-nilly, whose home lives we don't know about. We don't know how they're behaving when they get home. And then, clearly lots will be responsible. This isn't to denigrate carers, but for the ones that aren't, you can't vouch for what they're doing when they go home. And yet they can come back the next day, or worse still, go to another care home the next day and stop relatives from visiting their loved ones.
We have lots of agency staff in.
God,
and what frustrated me about
North
these
Korean.
But it is. What frustrated me particularly is that these particular people, I know, are not very careful. They are the ones who are immune from wearing masks in the school playground, things like that.
Right. The Invincibles.
It's baffling.
The Invincibles. The ones who think it won't touch them.
And everyone in our home had it, myself included. It literally rampaged round, and we saw people dropping like flies. It was awful, and loads of them never recovered. And I just can't. You cannot. I tried to have a conversation with one of them, and I just thought, I can't.
And what was her reasoning, or his or her reasoning?
Oh, she said something about that she didn't want to not be able to drive home and die on the way home to see her children. I said, that is just beyond nonsense that's going to happen.
She was. So she didn't want to what?
She said she might die before she gets home to see her children. I just...
What, after having the vaccine? It would make her faint at the wheel or something?
Apparently.
Get a cab home, Mrs. But how are you? I would literally be in fights with these people. What? How do you keep seeing them at work without wanting to poison their coffee?
Just don't say anything. Don't ask, because it just like, I would just avoid hanging out with anyone like this socially. They're colleagues, and they're very, very good carers. So it just baffles me.
Are they good about other infection control?
I would say probably yes. They're quite good.
But what was your?
Make you wonder, doesn't it? Because it just seems very selfish. I just couldn't look at these relatives in the eye and say to them, "Oh, I can't be bothered to get it for my own sake." And
that's because you're a sane, well-adjusted, compassionate human being, and they are off their rockers.
That's what I believe as well, I'm afraid.
Well,
seems a bit harsh, I know, but I just think it's absolutely mental, especially after the year we just had. And when you've seen it firsthand, and we were so far in the deep end, we were terrified. And I think a month later, we were all given the vaccine. I couldn't wait.
And apart from Mrs. Car Crash, have you spoken to any who are just a bit just a bit sort of, I'm worried about my fertility, or I'm worried about those clots, or I'm worried, because those I think are concerns that can be addressed. I don't think.
No, I really don't think it was anything genuine at all. One of them said she's already had COVID, so why need the vaccine? She's got antibodies. So why is she fine?
Because she's head of the World Health Organization, so she'd know all about it.
Yeah. I do normally go to her with all of my medical needs first before visiting doctors. I'm of course being silly.
I know.
But yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And one of the nurses even said it. I think it was astounding.
Well, thank you, Jane, for all the work you did last year, for the sensible approach to vaccine this year. Thanks, Jane. Stay well. Jane in Manchester. Charlotte Lynch is back with us, LBC's reporter. So things have extended to Barnet now, Charlotte.
They have, Sheila. The South African variant of coronavirus has now been found in the North London borough of Barnet, the fourth London borough to begin surge testing this week. So from tomorrow, everybody living in the N3 postcode area of Barnet is being asked to get tested regardless of whether they have symptoms or not. The council, interestingly, also wants anybody who shops on the local high street to come forward for that surge testing. Now, some areas there will receive a home test kit. Health officials will go knocking on the doors of people in the Church End area just north of Finchley, and others will be asked to get a test at a local mobile testing unit. Today's surge testing has started in Southwark too, in South London. A mobile test unit has been set up in Canada Water, and also surge testing with PCR tests going on in the library. And it, of course, follows the cases being detected in the London boroughs of Wandsworth and Lambeth too in South London. Everybody living there, more than 650,000 people being asked to get tested after more than 40 cases of the South African variant were confirmed there, and a further 30 probable cases detected.
Thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte Lynch, LBC's reporter. Elise is called from Surbiton. Hello, Elise.
Hi. I just want to confirm what the other lady that works in the care home said, that really, if you're a carer and you care about the people that you're looking after, you should take all precautions, and having a vaccine when you're personally looking after people in a personal situation, you need to have a vaccination. It doesn't even make any sense. We used to own nursing homes, and when there were outbreaks of flu, we used to advise families, don't come in, the staff stay away, so that you protect people. Part of a carer's job is to protect their people that they're looking after. It doesn't make any sense. But I think making it a law may well be very dangerous, only in as much that nursing home, care home owners will probably lose staff, and they can't afford to. There aren't enough staff to go around at the moment anyway.
This is what I've been thinking. And, the government has proved, long before COVID, this government and other governments have proved they're very slack about addressing that issue of care home staff numbers and indeed NHS staff numbers. So I'm wondering why they are carrying out a consultation to push for a thing that there will be resistance on, both legal and otherwise, and if it came in, would mean that some people would leave. Or maybe they're chancing their arm and thinking, no, people need the job, they won't leave.
Well, they will leave. I think people will leave. It's always been there's always been a high turnover of care staff and nurses in care in nursing homes and residential care homes. That's something that all owners, be large or small, have to deal with. It's a very physical job. People leave for all sorts of reasons. The pay is much better than it used to be. Certainly nurses get very, very good wages, and there are people that obviously work as bank staff that come through agencies. But there are lots of other jobs. I think it will cause a major problem.
Well, are there lots of other jobs? I mean, there's plenty of carers who don't get paid supremely well at all.
Well, there are agencies out there that send people to care. Will it include the agencies that, or is it just going to be homes? I mean, I think it's going to be an absolute minefield. I mean, yes, I think that everybody should have the vaccine. I was brought up in the time of polio. And I can remember my parents being terrified that one of us kids would have got polio, and we had vaccinations. We had the sugar cube with the polio vaccine on it, and we were all very grateful that my children were born when there was whooping cough. And if you've ever seen a child suffer from whooping cough,
you don't want to
the
see
first
that.
thing you do is have them vaccinated.
Yes, yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. If these people care, and that's part of the name of their job, that's exactly what they should do. They should have the vaccination.
I echo everything you said, Elise. Thank you, Elise in Surbiton. I honestly don't think you have the right to wear the uniform. I think you forfeit the right to wear the uniform. A carer, or a nurse, or a doctor, or any other health professional working up close with people, vulnerable people, if you don't get the vaccination. For no other reason than you don't want to, as opposed to a good reason why you can't. It's 3:30. Let's get the headlines from Thomas Watts.
Labour has claimed a lawyer-led investigation into political lobbying won't be a proper inquiry. The party is calling for a full parliamentary review following revelations about David Cameron's work for Greensill Capital. Care home staff in England could be required to get a coronavirus vaccine as a condition of employment. Care home providers, staff, residents and their families are being asked to take part in a 5-week government consultation. Bernie Madoff, the American financier who orchestrated the largest Ponzi scheme in history, has died in prison. Madoff admitted swindling thousands of clients out of billions of dollars in investments. Dry and fine for most places, a few showers in the West Country, a high of 13 degrees.
LPC. Get your green on without splashing out with water-saving tech from Curry's PC World. Like the Bosch washing machine range with the active water feature. Sensors automatically adjust the water level according to the load, giving you perfect wash results without wasting water. It's kind to the planet and your pocket. Plus, with Curry's Go Greener range, you could get free delivery and recycling. Terms and conditions apply.
As we move on to more UK criminology, how can we subsidise some of the lunatics upon our dominion? We've got murderers, we've got rapists, we've got burglars, arsonists, ABH, GBH, all kinds of different walks of life, monstrosity causing men's rehabilitations. Is there enough metropolitan lunatic asylums to be accountable for these people? Is there enough support for these people? Not everyone deserves to be painted with the same brush. Some due to ill health or being bullied by alcoholism or narcotic substance abuse. They can't manage their intake, overindulgence, self-inflicted, or just inappropriate behaviour, incompetent, incomprehensible, docile humanities. Perhaps they're not giving the right guidance in life. So we can't paint everyone in the same picture and make out everyone that takes alcohol and narcotics is a docile human. They need support. Is there enough support there? I mean, I'll give out mental health support lines. You need to, like I said, you need to find new aspirations in life. Maybe pick up a book, start reading, find out something you enjoy. Doing, colouring, drawing, origami, artist, anything you enjoy. Get back to what you used to enjoy when you were kids. It's important to keep your mental health at bay. Absolutely. I support mental health, absolute right down, straight down the middle. Hello there, Kate. Is that my friend, Kate? Welcome, Kate. I hope you're well. You got alienated fathers, mothers. You got people breaking up relationships if it's something to do with your other half spends too much money on going out and you can't pay the bill, can't afford the bill, so you part your own ways. It's sort of, every relationship, and 9 times out of 10, you've had 10 relationships in your life. Probably 6 of them have probably led to domestic abuse, where you have, you give a verbal on your way out the door. I sod off, I don't need you, you're ugly, and it's just what humanities do. They don't like someone, they're going to let that other person know how they don't like them. with a pinch of salt. Putting vinegar in the wounds. You're going to say something nasty to get out the door, amidly and swiftly, to embrace the freedom that you got away from the mess, the monstrosity, to something that's been bringing you down to a burden. Anyway, moving on with criminal law. You know I'm sophisticated, very ethical and pragmatic with style and sense when it comes to criminology. Anything to do with law, I'm quite clued up on, as being in the media each and every day, 365 days a year. I'm quite on the ball with everything. So everything's tickety boo when it comes with the prodigious prominent professors. I appreciate you all coming through. I'm working alongside the MPs and Conservatives. You know, they work thoroughly very well. Will Quince is my constituent MP. My last constituent I was in Hertfordshire, Hatfield, I had Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary. Will Quince is a DWP advisor. I'm learning more new things each and every day, because I always thought Elizabeth Truss was, you know, she had her hands in with the children's education and nourishing. But today we found out she's also involved in. Oh, I was literally just talking about it. I literally was just talking about it. Shows how bad my memory is. My memory has been jogged and I've forgotten what I was just talking about Elizabeth Truss. But yeah, Grant Shapps, Transport Secretary. We've got Vicky Ford works with the family courts, the family law, making sure children are, well, not making sure, doesn't always necessarily go to the ball going in favour of the right altitude all the time, but you just have to live and learn and just keep praying, and hopefully life cycle will take its turn and just be calm nature. Simple as that. So if you're named father, mother, just lay with it, live with it, learn to live with it, learn to hopefully it gets dealt with, and the kids will look back in their future when they grow up and think, yeah, my mum was right, my dad was right, whichever way they decide is the outcome. Because at the end of the day, when kids are 18, they go their own separate ways, get girlfriends, get married. They might not want to know their parents anyway. So all you can do is do the best what you can do in your life and be there for them if all else fails. So stay tuned, guys. I'm just giving you a bit. That's partly of my story. You know, I abbreviate a bit of my story. I don't like airing too much dirty laundry out there. I know I do sometimes, but today is not talking about men's rehabilitations. Talking about Acta Reus. Absolutely monstrosity in the UK. I didn't think it was much. Murder inquiry launched after shooting leaves man dead. Absolute provocation. Absolutely distraught family. Distraught for the police to have to intervene with shootings in the UK. Don't hear it every day. Yeah, Acta Reus has been caused. A fatal shooting. A murder investigation has been launched after a fatal shooting. 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, Westmisnter police said, saying is more pragmatic sense than any majority of all the other politicians ever lived, because I do read up on different laws. I know the ins and outs of a duck's backside. A 31-year-old man was found dead at the scene, while another male has been taken to hospital with serious injuries. Detectives said their investigation was still in the early stages and area had been cornered off for forensic examination. Men's rehabilitation is another Latin word. I'm quite good at Latin words, studying human biology. You can understand, I know all the sport muscles, the sport, skeletal system. For being loyal, listening, staying observed and preserved. It means a lot. You're part of the aristocracy, social lead, talking, listening in, you're observing. It's a skill that not everyone has. It's a fish and chip shop, forced to shut down after breaking COVID rules. We're going to get into that right now, ladies and gents. Thank you all, also Samaritans, all the mental health support lines there is, turn to us, all them kind of support lines that you can get if you're suffering through anything. You've been in lockdown all this time, gone back to some normality, it's hit you hard, and now you're trying to find it hard to turn back that leaf to being normal. In that lockdown, I suppose most of us have been more normal than not normal, because we're in lockdown. we're not allowed to go to the pub, not allowed to go and act stupid, act inappropriate, incompetent, and incomprehensible. We have to think about our actions. Give us a lot of time to think, doesn't it? It's lockdown. So learn about yourself, what you enjoy, how to exfoliate your expression, your feelings, your emotions. How do you deal with being locked down on your own? What can I do to keep my mind occupied rather than go to the pub or a nightclub? Essex COVID bar and fish shop forced to shut down after breaking of COVID rules. It's been shut down for a fortnight, maybe allowed to reopen after a week. A fish and chip shop has been closed down after repeatedly breaching COVID rules. Fish Bazaar on Longbridge Road, Barking, was ordered shut down for a fortnight last Thursday, April the 8th, by council enforcement officers, despite numerous warnings surrounding social distancing and the use of face masks in the store. The business ignored the advice and continued to operate in an unsafe way. Councillor Margaret Mullane, Cabinet Member of Enforcement and Community Safety, said this has been one of the lucky businesses that has been able to stay open during the pandemic. However, it has continued to break rules and now has to pay the price by facing 2 weeks without any trading, just as other shops open and high streets get busier. Fish Bazaar has initially been closed for 2 weeks until Thursday 22nd of April, but will be allowed to reopen after a week if significant improvements are made. Throughout the pandemic, Barking and Dagenham Council has worked closely with businesses to ensure they're following the rules and now will continue to do so as restrictions are eased. If residents are concerned that a business is breaking COVID regulations, they can report to the council. I mean, it's horrific, isn't it? You've seen, I mean, I've read in the media over the last few weeks, gyms have been open and staying open. Why would you be not you have to work with the rule of law. The biggest judiciary in the whole of the UK is shouting its orders, and you're breaking its rule of law. You deserve to be punished. Lucky you're not sent to prison and never be able to open up ever again. Your shop gets shut down, amicably for your stupidity. With your stupid response of thinking, I'm better than law, I'll stay open, try and break the law. You deserve to be shut down for good. You're lucky they're letting you open back up. Fish, mate, which they're likely to be allowed back open. It's a shock, isn't it? Why wouldn't you go with the rule of law? They said jump and you say how high. Simple as that. Unless you want to be branded with a brush, which they deserve to be tarnished with a brush for the stupidity. Everyone else is shut shop. You shut shop as well. Make it everyone safe. Anyway, everyone, ladies and gents, I just want to say thank you ever so much for tuning in. If you're listening on YouTube, I've got one listener, but we do, I've got over 180 odd subscribers. I need to get to the 1,000 mark of subscribers. I need to push for the show. I need people to come forward and support. I'm supporting a democracy, not just adults. Young generation need a direction, a guidance of life. I'm not here to pursue, I'm absolute professionalism, etiquette with style, pragmatic sense. I'm just here for you listeners to observe and gain interest, gain insight what's happening around the world, and also come through and put your procurement. How can we get back to safety within the Dominion? Throughout criminology, maybe your children are being bullied at school through drug dealers that left school, early teenagers that are getting into the adulthood and bullying youngsters, university students. It happens all the time. Outside Hertfordshire University, I've had young lads come up to me, do I want to buy cannabis? Do I look like I smoke cannabis, mate? Do I look like I do any kind of narcotic? No, absolutely not. Don't be such a docile humanity. And off they went. That's exactly how I am. But yeah, there's support out there, ladies and gents, and if you need guidance, come and join the show, and like I say, give your verdict and I can point you in the right direction. Proclamation News and Governance at yahoo.com. It is what it says on the tin, Proclamation News and Governance, and it's put at yahoo.com. All small cases. Take care, God bless, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you everyone on Castbox.